We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural mix, mineral water.
We still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Lawful wedded wife to having to hold from this day forward?
I do.
I knew it.
How much drama can you enjoy? See it feely with HD Plus. Get the best companion for your HD TV with HD Plus. Dial *879# to activate and enjoy the first 2 months for free.
Welcome back. I'll introduce my guests and then we can look at a report that the team put together over this, 2-week period of #FixTheCountry. My guest today is Fatimatu Abubakar. She's the Deputy Minister for Information Designate. I know that we had advertised that the Information Minister, Kojo Oponkroma, will be joining us. He's unable to be here at this time, and so his abled deputy will be joining us. We'll also be joined by Kobi Che, a young Ghanaian and also a socio-political blogger. That will be later on. But right now, though, let's look at the report that we put together looking at this hashtag for about 2 weeks now, trending on social media.
Mostly made up of the youth, tens of thousands of posts have been made on social media highlighting the level of inequalities in the country's unemployment rates, poor health systems, dilapidated road networks, skyrocketing home renting structure, erratic power supply, amongst others. Despite efforts by successive governments to invest in the growing human capital, some social media users say the impact is not felt on the ground. Social media influencer Joshua Boydo on Twitter is leading this campaign.
And most of these politicians put themselves and their families ahead of their citizens, and it is not it. So I feel this is the right time for us to stand up as to come together as one people to speak and let them know our stance, that we are tired. They need to put their country first, because at the end of the day, it's Ghana belongs to all of us.
Yeah. Conveners of the Fix the Country hashtag, inventing their spleen over the high cost of living and subsequent low standard of living, decided to demonstrate. The demonstration, which was meant to amplify sentiments such as rising youth unemployment, inefficient health systems, and many more, however, could not see the light of day after a legal tussle between the conveners and the Ghana Police Service, citing COVID-19 restrictions. Personnel from the Ghana Police Service secured the premises of the Black Star Square to clamp down on anyone who breaches the court order. About 15 police vehicles, including 7 crowd or riot control vehicles and dozens of police officers were sighted at the venue. A hashtag name and shame campaign on social media was triggered, which saw constituents sharing videos and images of stalled projects and deteriorating conditions that need government's immediate attention, while calling out particular MPs and DCEs among other duty bearers. While complying with the court order, the organizers facilitated a virtual version of the protest dubbed hashtag Fix Mother Ghana, a play on words referencing the commemoration of Mother's Day on the same day. Timelines on Twitter, Facebook and other social media platforms were flooded with images and videos of aggrieved youth articulating their plight and the need for improved management systems by successive governments. Like in traditional protests, these online demonstrators are clad in red and black, hoisting placards with inscriptions such as "Fix the country, we are angry," "Low wages and salaries," "Bad roads," and "Corruption, Doomsell must stop," amongst others. Reacting to the trend, Finance Minister Kenneth Furiata described it as healthy and says government is working around the clock to fix the country, but will require the collective efforts of all.
Over the past few weeks, I've been following the healthy conversations that started following the hashtag Fix the Country. I actually have met the representative of the conveners to understand and explore collective solutions over what the conveners describe as, I quote, a failure on the part of successive governments to improve the lives of Ghanaians. I truly believe we cannot ensure exceptional leadership without a collective effort from all of us. So I commend the youth for calling on government and leaders to be at their best. This shows the patriotism of Ghanaian youth, echoing the President's call to be a citizen and not a spectator.
Whether it is hashtag Fix the Country or hashtag Fix Yourself or hashtag We are fixing it, Ghana needs to be fixed. The conversation continues.
Indeed, we are continuing the conversation right here on Good Afternoon Ghana on Metro TV. My name is FRANCISCA KAKRA FORSON. I'm joined in the studio by Fati Abubakar, Deputy Information Minister Designate. Good afternoon to you, Madam.
Hello, good
thanks
afternoon.
for joining us. Is this your first time at Metro?
No.
You've been here. The new studio?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is not my first time, but this is my first time on your show.
On this program?
Yes.
Akwaba, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Same
Also joined by a young Ghanaian, very vociferous, very outspoken. He's a socio-political blogger, Kobi Che. Kobi, you are not strange to Good Afternoon Ghana. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm always humble to be here.
How are you?
Fantastic.
And since our last conversation, you haven't relented. You've been going on with your tweets. You guys have tried to sustain hashtag Fix the Country for about 2 weeks now. Yes. How has it been? Has it been difficult getting everybody on board, getting people not to forget and move on with their everyday lives and, you know, at least tweet something a day to get the government's attention?
Thank you, and a very good afternoon to everyone out there watching, those streaming on Facebook and everywhere. And I'm humbled to meet my dear minister here. So I'm so humbled to meet her. I think that it has not been very difficult because, Ghanaians are talking. I am not moving to, the houses of people to force them to tweet. They are tweeting what they feel like, what they think is not going on with regards to their lives and what the government is doing, and every government is doing. If you listen to the conversations online, it has not been subjected to MPP and DC. It has been about our leaders and how they can fix things. So, it has not been difficult. Each and every day, people have issues, and I'm happy that it has been on the trends for like 2 weeks, and people are still coming out to remember our leaders that things need to be fixed in this country.
How about the mainstream media? Has it focused on the matter, or there's been a little attempt to politicize?
I think that the traditional medium has been, they've been awesome. Yourself, your platform, Metro TV, all major platform, newspapers, almost every day now, headlines. I try to also monitor the morning shows, and the conversation has always been about fix the country. I mean, I'm sure that it was because of that that our finance minister came to address the issue.
Yes.
And so then it adds up to the conversation. That's why we are here today. So all the platform media, from social media to the
mainstream
media, everyone is talking about it. And it is quite interesting to see that Ghanaians and the media, I mean, at large are all helping to making sure that we fix nation Ghana.
So you've just alluded to the press conference that the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, held to respond to the issues. There have been some reactions from the conveners, or most of you associated with Fix It Ghana. You don't seem impressed by it. This is the point where I'd want to bring in a representative from the government, the minister, the Deputy Information Minister designate, Madam Fati. Oh, you said I should call you Fati?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to add Madam.
Oh, I prefer Fati.
Okay, I'll do my best. Fati, so this is my first question to you. The sentiment by young Ghanaians, and I'm happy that you're also a young Madam yourself. Hopefully you can relate. The sentiment is that the political class, or the ruling class, puts themselves ahead of ordinary Ghanaians. There are things in this country, bad roads that have not been fixed, corruption is still, the perception is really out there, the rankings don't look so good for Ghana, there's high cost of living, new taxes have been introduced just after coming out of COVID, where people lost their jobs, their businesses. They feel that some of these decisions over a period have not been sensitive to their needs and to the circumstances. And they're saying, fix it now. And the response from government has been, fix yourself, we are fixing it, and let's fix it together. How do you react to this?
Okay, first of all, let me say good afternoon to you too and to our cherished viewers out there. I believe this conversation, as objective as we want to have it, should be within a certain context. And first of all, I will say that it doesn't even matter if it's a single Ghanaian who is calling on government or state agencies or stakeholders to fix the country. It's a legitimate call. So to think that it's not even one person, but tens of thousands of Ghanaians or even more, on the part of government, we feel there is a need to participate actively in the conversation and also bring to bear some of the information available to us that may not be available to the public, and as much as possible listen to the public and make sure there can be improvements or acceleration in terms of development for all of us as a country. And first of all, the context we have to look at is the fact that we have to fix the country. Government has accepted the responsibility that primarily we know that the executive is required to show leadership, and the president and the government in general is committed to providing that kind of leadership for the people. And secondly, it has been shown, and I believe so to be true, that our surest best to developing this country is in a multi-party democracy. No matter the agitation, if you call for any form of governance, you call for any system where the people will not have the opportunity to engage and demand accountability, it will not work. So it is important that we appreciate that this conversation should be within that context. And thirdly, objectively, we cannot look at our current circumstance without looking at the adverse impact of COVID-19 on our economic and social life. I am a young person myself, and so as I may not be a blogger, but I'm equally active on social media. Yes. And sometimes I see how the impact of COVID-19 is being downplayed, that no, you can't blame COVID that much. But I want to say that if you look at an economy which was picked from GDP growth of 3.4% in 2016, and consistently between 2017 to 2019, the economy was growing at an average of 7%. And all of a sudden, the outlook of 2020 showed that it grew at 0.8%. We will all feel it, be it young or old, working or not working. That dip of over 6.2% drop in economic growth will be felt by the public. So sometimes I say that for those who genuinely are affected by our current circumstances and our agitation and have agitations, are embarking on a legitimate path, and we are always willing to engage.
Okay, so something that you've said, I have a few follow-ups on some of the things that you've said, but it's in line with what the president had said earlier. I want us to take that clip, and then I'll come back to you. So we can have the clip of President Akufo-Addo.
As we have demonstrated over the course of the last 3 years, where we inherited an economy that was growing at 3.4% and transformed it into one which has grown by an average of 7% over the last 3 years, I assure you that we know what to do to bring back our economy back to life. What we do not know is how to bring people back to life. We will therefore protect people's lives, then their livelihoods.
Minister, do you think the president has done that?
I'm a spokesperson, so not minister yet until...
Can I call you minister for this show, just for this show?
Hey, that's dangerous. Okay, maybe I can take that.
Minister designates, do you think the president has done what he said he would do?
Absolutely.
He's capable of doing?
Absolutely.
Can I bring in Kobe? You agree?
Absolutely. I think he has. I believe we can do more.
Very well. Kobe, do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I like what she said, that she believes that we can do more. Now, first of all, I was impressed when the finance minister accepted that, indeed, the country needs to be fixed, well established. Now, the whole balu with regards to the COVID being a major problem with regards to why, and that's why the reason why we are here, and I mean, economic factor and all that. And my question is that we as a country, a lot of countries were able to capitalize on COVID to also generate a lot of money for their country from the digital space. So we as a country, I mean, the minister is, I want to ask, how was the government able to use COVID to also get something for the nation Ghana?
Minister, would you designate, would you want to address that?
Yeah, you know, when you talk about COVID, we are talking about social protection, we are talking about public health. Primarily, what you would seek to get out of the situation is not necessarily to make profits, but to protect the lives of people. And if you could remember, we have a very young population, we have a developing country, but you realize that with some of these circumstances, when productivity was very low, because for almost a year, basic schools were closed, but teachers have to be paid. You know that. And even for civil servants in most public institutions, some of them were running shifts, some of them were staying home. Productivity was low, but at the end of the day, you have to find a way to make sure salaries and other conditions of service of these workers were met. And because we haven't heard agitations about in those areas, it should tell you that government was committed to doing so. But one interesting thing that happened was that you would realize that from the pandemic,
would it not be a shame then that it had to take a global disaster to push this country to go to the place where we have local companies producing nose masks? And the question is, what have we been doing? What has the government been doing to expand, to take opportunity to expand the economy and not be forced by COVID-19?
What happened was that before COVID, let's put it on record that about 76 factories out of the 232 factories that government had promised to deliver under the One District, One Factory initiative were already completed and operational. But the motive or the idea behind these factories were not necessarily into the area of maybe healthcare or pharmaceuticals specifically. They were to transform these agro-produce or raw materials into something that the respective communities can benefit from. So that was ongoing, but not necessarily in the area of nose masks or sanitizers, because we can admit that before COVID, that demand was not even there to push companies into those line of productions. But what was impressive was the fact that as soon as COVID reared its head, and we realized that most countries were concerned about the sovereign protection of their people and their countries and their economy, Ghanaians, indigenous Ghanaians, were able to rise up to the occasion and step up and diversify into some of these areas.
That was impressive.
That was impressive, and
what
it
was
ought
not
to be
impressive
commended.
Was the fact that government introduced new taxes right after last year when COVID broke out.
So that was where I was coming.
People were out of jobs, businesses collapsed. We're trying to, hold down the global pandemic, and then we are told that VAT is going up, fuel prices go up, which will have a ripple effect on the prices of goods and services. This is insensitive.
Let me put them one after the other.
Okay.
It wasn't just taxes or levies that were introduced by governments. There were tax rebates and also some holidays for some institutions, and even some income taxes had to be scrapped, if you are aware. Vehicular income tax on commercial vehicles have been scrapped from the second quarter of this year all the way to the end of the year. That wasn't a tax imposed. Government has also introduced rebate for arts and entertainment, and that is also enforced for those who would like to go to GRA to access those facilities, have the opportunity to access it. And there was also a moratorium on penalties for those who were not able to honor their taxes last year, to come to GRA to show that for the whole of 2021, this is how we are able to mobilize resources to pay our principal. And any other penalties that were supposed to be paid by these institutions were scrapped. In this same spirit was why when COVID came, the government thought it wise to give people access to free water, free electricity to lifeline consumers, and 50% to those who were not lifeline consumers, among other things that government gave, including the CAP program, which is the COVID-19 alleviation program, which was a 1.2 billion facility, which I know a lot of people in the villages who benefited from the CAP disbursement through NBSSI, and even some companies, and you can go out there to verify. But now,
if I may come in a bit, because you bring in the tax rebates, etc. Granted, which is well placed, but the reality is that it is the generality of the tax increment which is the problem, because if you're bringing COVID levy, if you're bringing sanitation levy, all of those things, if fuel prices are going up, all of those things are going to affect the general population. Not everybody will have to be affected by the income tax, etc., what have you. And if free water was given, electricity was given up for free at some point, and a year over, we're having frequent power outages, and these new taxes are coming in. It feels as though you are paying for that free thing.
I believe we could have done better in terms of explaining what these levies or new taxes were about. And when people understand why these ought to be paid, I believe their position, some people's position would have changed. For instance, you mentioned the 1% COVID-19 levy on VAT. That 1% is on goods and services that are taxable. Not every service or every good, meaning food produce, local productions in terms of food, and those things are not taxable unless imported ones. And the purpose of that 1% COVID-19 levy was supposed to help government procure vaccines, because we have done some things in the past, but the scientists and those who know much about this COVID management have informed us that our surest bet, if we want to get out of COVID as soon as possible, is to ensure that majority of the Ghanaian population are vaccinated. So if you have a target of about 20 million Ghanaians, and from COVAX we had received 600,000, other ways of generating some form of income to support
surely not
some of these,
especially at this time.
That's why I said it will be fair to put in context that there were some rebates, there were some holidays, there were incentives, and then there were some levies. But to put it
5 years,
not necessarily.
You are now agreeing with the people complaining that the country needs to be fixed.
Not necessarily. As I mentioned in the intro, it doesn't even matter if one person is complaining. You have to take those complaints seriously. And the fact that on 7 December 2020, Ghanaians went to the polls and an overwhelming majority of the Ghanaian population, over 500,000 votes difference, were casted in favor of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government.
Okay.
Based on his track record, which was his first mandate, and not mere promises, should tell you that Ghanaians are confident in the things that he delivered in the first term. And most importantly, expect that he does more. So the 4 years to do more ought to have, done more. But we are in about 4 months since the president was sworn in these extraordinary circumstances. But I'm saying it is not a shame, because if you look at the statistics available, unemployment in 2015 stood as high as, unemployment in Ghana in 2015 stood as high as 11.9%. And youth unemployment in 2015 stood as high as 16.9%. As of 2019, that unemployment had dropped to a whooping 8.4%, and youth unemployment had dropped to 12.6%. If you look at the average of about 4% drop in unemployment and youth unemployment, it should tell you that something has been done. Because, of course, our population is growing. But we should get to a point where every young Ghanaian who aspires to get a job or get a livelihood gets that. How did government achieve these drops? There were interventions, including recruiting nurses, including recruitment of teachers, including the 100,000 NAPCO beneficiaries, including using the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan to get about 92,000 of Ghanaian youth to get to work. But there are people who are still unemployed. So it should tell you that what the young people are calling for, or what Ghanaians are calling for some of these interventions and new ones to come in force to accelerate or to speed up the rate at which we are developing the country. Minister, and that is a legitimate call.
I'd like to interrogate your numbers on unemployment.
Okay.
I'm looking at the World Bank's website right now, and they're talking about Ghana being faced with 12% youth unemployment. That would not be...
That's what I said. That's the 12.6% youth unemployment. But in 2015, the same source quoted it as 16.9%. But there are not more people in the house who are not working.
COVID would have influenced that. Because some people would lose their jobs and their businesses.
And interestingly, government hasn't laid off any public worker since COVID, irrespective of the circumstances.
But there's the possibility of underemployment. Also, President Akufo-Addo said this in 2017. I was not elected by the overwhelming majority of the Ghanaian people to complain or compare. I was elected to get things done. I was elected to fix what is broken. And my government and I are determined to do just that. It's 2021. Young Ghanaians are saying, fix it. And the government is saying, we are fixing it, or let's do it together.
Absolutely.
Has the president failed?
No.
Because the story should have been, I fixed it. Don't you agree?
If we have a systemic problem, a problem that precedes 1957, people had confidence and expect us to do so much. But as I said, for every objective conversation, should take into consideration where we are coming from to appreciate where we are now.
Okay.
But for COVID, even year of return alone and beyond the return, in December, the amount of monies that came to airline companies, courier services, hotels, and a lot of businesses which had the capacity to scale up and even employ more people because there is demand, because there is acceleration of business activities in the country, because there is influx of people, we are getting foreign currency, because Ghana is hosting the Secretariat for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and we are opening our market up to 1.3 billion people across Africa. It should tell you we're going in a particular direction. And I said the testament or evidence of the performance of President Akufo-Addo's first term is the fact that Ghanaians voluntarily walked to the polls and voted overwhelmingly to show that they appreciate his first term and they were giving him a second mandate based on his record. But as I said, for a period of time, the government had to take Ghana out of IMF, had to fix the banking sector, problem, because I have told people that I had my PA who was saving with one bank, and the whole of 2017 he didn't receive any salary, but he was being paid by government, but the bank can't pay him. Government had to step in, consolidate about 5 of the traditional bank, give 2 of the banks to Ghana Commercial Bank so that we can save jobs and also save deposits. That was huge. Then out of that, it was in March when the Vice President announced the second phase of payments to people who had lost their deposits to the banks. And the same March came COVID and lockdown and all the things that followed. So it's been a difficult time, and we say we are in extraordinary times. But government accept that the president and the government has a primary responsibility towards Ghanaians. And that is why he said he's not complaining. And we've come to say that, yes, there are so many things to be fixed. We are rolling out programs like the $100 million Obatampa program. We are rolling out the $200 million Skills and Job program. And
a lot of these things, the reaction from the youngsters on social media is that we heard all of these things in the budget. Does it speak to their concerns then to repeat a lot of the things that Honorable Chairman read in the budget?
It does, because I have seen a list of demands from the fix-it conveners, and maybe Kobe can even take us through some of the demands. I think major, and I have also followed conversations on social media. If you are a young person and you complete university and you don't have a job, it's not a joke, it's really frustrating. I completed University of Ghana in 2010, and for years I didn't have a job. I had my own business, I was into production of a sort, but it wasn't easy if any support wasn't coming. So legitimately, you would expect that unemployment will be on top of the agenda. They also made complaints about
high rent costs,
yes,
high cost of living generally, the
yes,
fuel,
yes,
fuel
and so on and so forth. And look at high cost of living. As we speak, if in the face of COVID, our inflation is not above the 10s, we've managed to sustain it between 10, then we have to even commend that we are doing something right.
Honorable, that you see,
because
the thing about inflation is that at some point people get tired of the statistics, the numbers. If I go to the market and one tomato is selling for 1 Ghana cedis, I wouldn't be concerned if inflation is under 10%. I don't think any Ghanaian would be. They are interested in how much it affects them. And on this score, I want to bring in Kobe and ask. So you heard the responses of Ken Oforiatta. One thing that stood out for me, which I would want you to address, when he says, let's fix it together. Do you agree when he says that?
I understand that we all have to play our parts. But, I mean, on this note, I wouldn't want to talk about MPP and this. I want to talk about the leadership, past, present, and, I mean, all of them. This conversation that our dear madam is having, we've heard that all over and over again. We've had the same conversation. And when I was listening to the Minister of Finance speaking, it was as though he was reading my manifesto. You understand? Because these are things that you highlighted when you wanted to come in power, even in 2016, both NDC and MPP. I'm sure if NDC was in power, MPP would go really hard at them to question them that you can't blame COVID. Because all the conversation that I've heard, all of them, they keep blaming, putting the blame on COVID. Now, let's look at infrastructure in this country. Let's look at a young boy completing university. I want to settle down. First of all, I'm not having any work to do. That is number one. Now, I don't have work to do. Now, I'm going to rent. Look at the amount. Last year, the amount of money I saved, just next month, I'm going to use that money that I saved to go and pay rent again.
Because nobody is going to take 6 months rent, which is what
you
the
understand.
law says.
And so there are laws for these things.
But the laws are being broken.
Yes. So the government or the leadership of this country needs to try as much as possible to enforce some of these things. Because if you are taking me 2 months rent, you are taking 2 years rent, 3 years, 4 years, where am I going to get that money? Because already I am facing unemployment. Again, our education system. We've also complained, it's part of the things that we are addressing, that the theory side of our education system is, do we need start to really enforce some of these things? Do we need stats that 2%, 3% to go and enforce the law that change certain things, change certain policy that our educational system is full of theory? The practicality is not there. I mean, you just mentioned that you completed Legon, and you understand what I'm saying. That a lot of our education system, it is more of the theory. What are we doing? Again, the roles are bad. What are you doing? So if you don't take time, Jesse, the conversation will be about the leaders putting the blame on COVID. Then next year, COVID, the following year, then they will go. I don't know whether they are going to be in power the next, I don't know whether it's NDC who's going to come in power. Then the same problem. Because when they are in opposition, they complain, oh, there's no money.
For the interests of the party at the time.
So I want the conversation not to even be about NDC MPP. I want it to be
I think it's clear that we are not looking
Ghana.
at NDC MPP. We are looking.
Need a little help? Nobody does it better. At UCS Facility Management, we give you the best in janitorial services, which include high-rise window cleaning, office cleaning, post-construction cleaning, facade washing, deep cleaning, carpet cleaning, swimming pool cleaning, and event janitorial services. Locate us at Jowolu, JA Plant Pool premises, or call us on 0501 666 322 or 0203 299 212 or 0203 299 234. UCS, your property is under our care.
May, Ekovim 8th June 2021. A high sense fridge promo. Yeah, Tete Swama was what is high sense fridge dear? F entry power, F4, and a check. High sense fridge, entry power, and more cabia. Yes, I saw 5 years warranty. The fridge have you. A high sense fridge. Have you? 3GB. 3GB. 18th May, Ekovim 8th June 2021. A high sense fridge promo. Yeah, Tete Swama was Kona kwa Jody. High sense. Everyday prices for everyday people.
Coming soon to Metro TV.
Kids always say what they wanna.
Welcome back to Good Afternoon, Ghana. Let me bring in our audience on social media into the conversation. This person says, I am Malam from Ablekuma, Olebu. Metro TV, can you confirm the 76 factories? I don't want to believe it. We'll do that. Kojo Rad says, this country needs to be fixed, especially creating jobs for university graduates. Kobiche Duakwa and the youths, we are proud of you. This person says, hi, when we speak of how to fix the country now, you start talking about teachers who have been paid while I'm at home during the COVID. Don't you know that absentee MPs are paid salary every month in Ghana? Jeff Dollar from Greater Accra says the cost of living has gone higher because of the high tax the high taxes. It is wrong to infer that tax. Jeff, I don't understand this message. But the bottom line is that you want to have a conversation about the taxes. Okay. Abugri Amos from Abuakwa Efari says, good afternoon to you guys out there. I love the discussion. Your country is in hardship. It needs to be fixed. Chaka Derricks from Dome Kwabenya says, good afternoon. I'm enjoying your program, and I must say the Deputy Minister of Information designate is really doing well in terms of explaining what government is doing so far. Personally, I think I'm beginning to agree with government on this, because we can't fix our country without tax, especially when our economy is mainly informal. So I think we should be patient enough to support and fix the country with ideas from the youth, and we shouldn't find fault in everything. Okay. Cosby from Dambai in the OT region says, good afternoon. We the citizens are not spectators. That's why we are doing our best in fixing the country, but the government must fix its part, and that is, he puts a list there: fuel prices, cost of cement, no increment in salaries, everything is not responding in our favor, and rent price is high. So this is a message from somebody in Blessing in Shy Hills, and Blessing says, the government went for the job and it was given to them, so I believe they should be able to bear the pressure that it comes with it. Okay, good luck. Saeed Sule from Gambaga says, IMF conditions never stop the government from employing teachers and nurses, as their deputy minister designate seeks to suggest. I won't read the rest of it, but the point is made. Boniface from Accra says, good afternoon to you all for your good effort for Mother Ghana. This government and the president should just accept and apologize to the Ghanaian people. I think they've accepted, and they said they are fixing it. Randy says, please, can you ask the Minister for Ghanaians, can she mention how many Ghanaians have been recruited by the government? Okay, let me add one more. Cape Coast, let's go to Cape Coast. Kweku in Cape Coast says, good afternoon, Madam. No, call me Francisca. I don't want to grow old. Yes, he says, please tell the minister designate to back her claims on employment with data. She did. Tell her that there was no freeze on employment in the health and educational sectors in 2012 and 2016. Ekwe Kwashi in Denmark says the deputy minister designate is not being truthful. Okay. Good afternoon, Francisca and your guests. Fatima is navigating around COVID to be the reason why #fix the country brouhaha is ongoing. Certainly it is not about COVID-19. The old man is talking too much, and so is Uncle Baumia. Okay. I am Mustafa from Adankwame. What is government doing about the unemployed university diploma graduate
together? When you speak about high cost of rent and landlords not willing to take maybe a month or 6 months rent, it's an admonition on all of us as Ghanaians. Because if government starts the implementation and wants to do it arbitrarily, without getting consensus around the table or getting the landlords to understand, that will be another form of agitation that we will come and sit here and discuss.
But that is why stop us, and there should be an alternative.
That is why always we choose dialogue first, and when it doesn't work, then you apply force. Because trust me, if you had brought some estate developers or landlords to sit in our seats and tell them that we are in support of government enforcing strictly the Rent Act or other states. Quite recently at Sehri also, they've completed new estates, and a lot of such projects are ongoing. But those are the projects by the states which they have absolute control over. But when it comes to those in the private sector, when we know that from years before we were born, our land ownership system, it's a bit complex. That's why in this conversation, I'm trying to situate that there will be the need for an extended dialogue. And that is why we say we will do it together.
Other things beyond rent.
Yes, it will cover other things beyond rent. And that includes getting these landlords to understand. Because before you say, oh, enforce the law, there will be another hashtag coming saying that now government is forcing landlords.
But if it's in the interest of the people, I'm not sure that will be a problem. If it's in the interest of people who are tired of paying 2 years rent in advance. But Mr. I'm running out of time.
And even now,
if
there are some people who are forced to make such payments, and you even encourage them to go to some of these state agencies who are in the position to resolve some of these issues. Ask yourself how many people even go there to assess some of these facilities.
Some people have been and they haven't had results. Some people have been and they haven't had results. But I just wanted to quickly get an update, since you speak for the government, on the City FM journalists who were arrested and detained over some footage they were taking at the premises of the National Security. What's the latest now? Are they going to be charged with something? Or?
No, first of all, I wasn't an eyewitness. I have also followed the story, just as you've done on social media, and also from what City FM themselves have put out, that Caleb was at Blue Gate National Security. According to those there too, that he asked to see somebody. By the time they realized he was filming, and upon interrogation, they realized that he had already sent the footage to another colleague. So they had to keep him there for some time to write his statement. So I wasn't an eyewitness.
But you speak for the government?
No, but it will take certain protocols for the National Security or other ministries. I'm not at the Ministry of Information yet, until such a time that there is confirmation from Parliament. So I believe an official communication will come in that effect. But my admonition is that there are a lot of things that are preventable, as we encourage all of us to do the right thing. I just chanced on something from the internet, that even FBI, you cannot film their headquarters.
Minister, I have 30 seconds to wrap up.
So there is no need to escalate some of these things which you could have gone through the appropriate protocols to get done. So let's try and de-escalate and have these issues resolved.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. My guests in the studio, Deputy Information Minister Designate Fatih Abubakar and Kobi Che, a socio-political blogger. We've been talking about the government's responses to hashtag Fix the Country. Kobi is here. He's still not impressed. I'm sure a lot of the people behind the hashtag are still not impressed. This conversation will not end here. It will continue on social media, and maybe sometime we'll be back with it. But thank you for watching, and thank you for your messages. I'm FRANCISCA KAKRA FORSON. Bye-bye.
Metro